Well, welcome to the live Day 7 update for the Sevenstar Round Britain and Ireland race. I'm RORC race reporter Louay Habib, and joining us from Cowes is race director Chris Stone. Morning, Chris. Well, just about afternoon. Is it hot enough for you?
It is hot enough for me. Gosh, it's been a lovely couple of days. It's the big problem, though, not for me, it's for everyone. High pressure everywhere.
Yeah, high pressure everywhere. Let's try and get that up for you, Chris. Pretty sure we've got. Well, that should be going to. There you go. We've got windy up. No, we'll stick with the main map.
I'll stick with the main map. Yeah, look, I think just in terms of the weather, what we're looking at is we've got a really kind of soft low forming in the Bay of Biscay, and another kind of low really to the southwest of that off island. And interestingly enough, then we have a high pressure system directly to the west, influencing that that low, and another low on the other side of that when we get closer towards Iceland. So I guess it's a mixed bag of weather. We've got a confused zone with front and a warm front, and that means not much breeze. Coast and up the side of Scotland. It's a bit of a slow race, I think.
Yeah, it certainly has been so far. The good news is that all of the boats still racing are past Blackrock on the northwest tip of Ireland, and let's just zoom in on that right now. We'll come back to that boat right up in front, but as we can see, all of the boats are now past Blackrock, and they are right out in the Atlantic now, Chris, aren't they?
Yeah. Look, no one's really taken a dive in towards the Hebrides. It's looked like staying out and hoping for that pressure line that can avoid the high pressure that's creeping up on the inside.
Yeah, indeed. Well, look, we've got one boat right out in front. Let's just get back to leading the fleet on the water by 150 miles at 10 o'clock BST this morning. We've got Pip Hares in Mocha Medallia, and they are over halfway in this race. It has taken them 7 days. They're closing in on Muckleflugger, the most northerly part of the course, and at 10 o'clock BST they had 200 miles to go. Pip checked in with us at 7:30 this morning. Let's see what Pip had to say.
Hello, Louay. So Pip on board Medallia, and we are just heading towards the Isle of Lewis, short tacking in light airs. Up towards the final rock of the course, excuse my pronunciation, Solasgia. And yeah, I mean, what a race, and nobody was really, I mean, everyone was expecting it was going to be a light winds race, but nobody was expecting it to be quite this challenging, and we are in, yet another high pressure system all the way up here, which is completely unusual. Has it been difficult for us? I think mentally there's been an adjustment. Initially for me at the beginning of the race there was an adjustment, because when I signed up for this race I very much had in my mind kind of rocketing around the course like a bullet and chasing after Brian's record, and that these boats are all about power, and that's kind of the exciting thing, and being able to use that around Britain and Ireland was kind of what I signed up for. But we have to take what we're given, and actually yacht racing is much more about using your brain than just your brawn. And I think when people think about the difficulty in this sport, they think about the grit that you need and the challenges that we face. They're always imagining water over the deck and big waves and cold and spray in your eyes, but actually the mental challenge of these light airs, this light air sailing, is as difficult on a team and in any individuals as anything is. So for us, we have had to kind of just adjust. Obviously, we were gutted that Ollie had to pull out. I think we would have had an incredible tussle with him because he's sailing a boat that's really, design favours these conditions. No foils, dagger boards. His boat goes much better than ours upwind in light air, so I think we would have had an excellent race, and having the motivation of somebody else on the track with you really keeps you going. So we've needed to find our internal motivation to keep going, and actually that for me is, I'm really lucky. Everyone out here is their internal motivation is supporting me in trying to just really learn how to make this boat go. So we're committed to doing the best that we can, and we have made learnings all the way along the way, and we're doing fine. It's just about changing a gear, and it's about pacing yourself for what is ahead. That said, we're very, very, very much looking to turning the corner, because we think we might have a downwind sleigh ride in the North Sea.
Well, Pit getting really real there, Chris. What did you think about what you just said?
Yeah, look, amazingly tough race. I mean, I think most people think, as Pip said, they'd be travelling along 20, 25 knots, and hanging on for the ride. But this is a completely different challenge in regards to that, where you've got to keep the boat moving. There's a lot involved in a boat like that, keeping it to move, so you're getting it to move. So therefore, weight's important. So it's not about lying about and doing nothing when it's quiet. I mean, you've still got a lot to do, and the race turns into a tactical one, and looking at your weather and finding those spots where you're going to be able to keep the boat moving. So there's a lot of energy spent, even when there's not a lot of wind about.
Yeah. And we've got to give a little shout out as well to the two boats that are nearest to Medallia, which is Pegasus of Northumberland and Paulby Marine.
Yeah, it looks like there's kind of a split there. Louay, we've got one of the Tequila, the Class 40, that's taken the left-hand flyer and kind of moved into that, quasi stationary front zone, where Pegasus and Paulby have gone to the right, and are trying to find some breeze on the inside there, as kind of moving closer into that Hebrides region. Yes,
indeed. So maybe trying to sneak through on some zephyrs of pressure on the inside, while that's to say Pegasus and Paulby Marine, while it looks like Tequila's taking an offshore option.
Yeah, look, interesting thing to watch, actually. I think Paulby Marine's actually been behind Pegasus most of the race. If you look at where they're positioned in that map at the moment, they've got an opportunity maybe skirt up the inside, hitting the breeze a fraction earlier than the others. Might even close that gap when they tack back out. So we'll see. In a good position, I think.
Yeah. And in the Sevenstar Round Britain and Ireland race, we've got a record two-handed fleet, but they're not all two-handed. We also have a team from the Army Sailing Association, and they're racing Fujitsu British Soldier. And there were 7 on board that Sunfast 3600. And Will Naylor, the navigator on board, this is his 4th race, told us about the morale on board and maybe what they're looking for in terms of advantage a little further ahead. Here's what Will Naylor had to say.
Sevenstar Round Britain Island is part of the RORC programme for Fujitsu British Soldier. It's the biggest race we do. It's really important to us. It's a fantastic sailors race. It's 3 fast nets. It's absolutely brilliant. So as a team, we're all serving soldiers and officers. We've Lieutenant Colonel down to 2 private soldiers on board as well. All ranges, backgrounds and experience. So we've got 3 that have done it before. This is my 4th one, and then the skipper Phil is on his 3rd. One of the crew has done it before, but we've got a couple of dinghy sailors on board as well that haven't really sailed offshore very much at all, and they've done the qualifying mileage to be able to do this race, and but yeah, they've not done much night sailing at all. We're going well, light winds as everyone has had, but we're close to the top of Ireland now and going nicely. It's been quite mentally tough knowing that it's going to be a longer race than we hoped or planned for, but we've already started rationing our water, food and other supplies. The main concern is that we run out of coffee, so we're double using coffee bags. That's not too much of a problem. Morale is high, as always. Typical soldiers, just cracking on with it really, so that's good. The most amazing thing we've seen so far, I think, has been the wildlife. There's been quite a lot of dolphins, quite a lot of chat on the rail about whether dolphins wear seagulls as hats, but anyway, that's probably funny on the boat, not funny off the boat. The sunrises and sunsets have been absolutely awesome. That's been a definite highlight so far. The ability to get some rest and rest well for the rest of the race, which hopefully, being a heavier, fully crewed boat, will come into our own when we can load the rail up and get cracking. But we're looking forward to being fully powered up and getting around the top in good order with enough food, water, gas, etc. to take us round. That's it from British Soldier. Fair winds to everyone, and we'll see you all soon.
Yeah, really interesting to hear from Will there. Obviously, they're all amateur sailors on board, and I know, having spoken to them in the past, offshore racing for them is a way of getting people back from the field to normal life, and it's a way of not taking the conflict home with them. It's a really cool thing, and you know, hats off to the Army Sailing Association for being back in the race.
Yeah, great. It's great, isn't it? I mean, if anyone was going to cope with rationing food and double using the coffee bags, I think it'd be the Army guys, right?
Yeah, I wouldn't mind hearing the non-PC version of that as well. I'm sure that would be a very interesting chat over a pint as well, Chris.
Yeah, interesting. He was talking also about the sunrise sunsets. I mean, last night we obviously had, or the last couple of nights we've had the Sturgeon supermoon. I mean, I would imagine that has been a spectacular view in that part of the world. So yeah, amazing.
For sure. And a little shout out, you can see there a boat heading due east. I'll just highlight it there. That's Hasper Hamburg, who were doing incredibly well, Chris, weren't they?
They were, yeah, they were. Keeping up there with Pegasus and Polby, and then doing really well on IRC for a while. So.
Yeah, and unfortunately they need to get the boat back to Hamburg in Germany for the 20th of August, and that's just why they have had to pull out, unfortunately. They are not going to make it to Hamburg for that date. And we had a cracking comment from one of the 17-year-olds on board who WhatsApped us. Rimt Brun says he was, they're really sad to have to retire from the race due to the time constraint. He said, I'm very sorry, man, to retire from such a great race, especially in our position. We will be back in 4 years. We are not done with this race yet. So some lovely words from Reed there.
Yeah, I mean, it's great. Yeah, Hasper's one of those boats. It's effectively a club boat from NRV. So, they've got a busy program, got to get the boat back. It's tough, isn't it?
It is tough, for sure. Yeah. And I'm just going to see if we can find, I think, no, that's Fujitsu British Soldier, I beg your pardon. Let's just talk about them. Marie Taboulet, 73-foot ketch, Penduic 6.
Yeah, look, I mean, Marie's done remarkably well, I must say, to be where she is. I mean, that boat is obviously not a light boat. There's lots of people on board as well, and she's kept up to the I guess the second tier two-handed group amongst the Sunfast 3300s. I mean, I'm shocked that she's in there. So she's done really well. I mean, it's
because that's a heavy boat, isn't it? I mean,
a really heavy boat. And a lot of people on board. It's a ketch, so it's also not well suited to the light breezes.
Yeah.
That's an amazing effort, actually.
It is, and currently they're leading IRC1. So well done to all the team on Penduic 6. Okay, should we have a look at? Well, let's just have a quick comment about Morning After. They are currently leading IRC3, oldest boat in the race.
Yeah,
And,
that's a. I mean, a couple of times they've had the opportunity to come to the front of IRC overall even. Unfortunately, in the last 2 days, they got stuck a little bit, but have started moving again. And interestingly enough, they've kind of placed themselves in a good spot amongst others. With Sniffix Dry over to their right, and they've got Genti Damar in there as well. So they've done really well to claw that back. Well-deserved lead for IRC3.
Yeah, nice one. And also racing in IRC3, we have got Richard Palmer and Rupert Holmes on Jangada, and we got to catch up with them again. Little cameo from Richard on board, and check out the picture that Richard took right near the end.
Hi Louay, it's Richard and Rupert here on Jangada. Good afternoon to you. We're here as we're just passing Black Rock, having a good tussle with some of the other boats around us. Anyway, yeah. So you asked about the race being mentally tough. It certainly is, and I think what keeps us going is life revolves around the schedules every 3 hours. We keep an eye on progress, boats ahead and boats behind. In particular, the Sunfast 3600 fleet, where we have some key rivals for the overall series points. And I think we just bear in mind that there's plenty of opportunities. People talk about snakes and ladders, but we've seen that where we've climbed back up from the middle of the fleet to the top of the leaderboard temporarily. So I think it's those opportunities, and not getting disheartened by where we are now, but looking forward to where we're trying to get to. The mood on board is good. We have plenty of victuals on board. We plan for 18 days. We're use slightly less water than we budgeted for, so that's great. Plenty of water, plenty of food, and plenty of sleep. We've got into a good sleep routine, so keeping us alert and refreshed. And the most amazing thing about this race really is the closeness of the competition and the boats around us. We've been coming up the coast here with 3 Sunfast 3300s, Rockit, Wild Pilgrim and Chili Pepper. Hot on each other's tails, watching what we're all doing on AIS. Great competition, and it's lovely to have so many double-handed boats out here and all hotly contesting for the overall results. So yeah, morale on board is good. It's a bit hot down below, but a nice cool breeze upstairs. Anyway, cheers.
So here we see the ranking for IRC two-handed, and this was at 10 o'clock BST this morning. Bellino lead, that's Rob Craigie and Dead Fish on the Sunfast 3600. Diablo, Nick Martin with Cal Finlayson in second. And in third place, we have the two Sams on the JPK 1080 Muzungu. But just look at the distance to finish, Chris. It's so tight.
Yeah. Gosh, you couldn't expect a race this tight. Really. And the fleet keeps coming together. Concertine effect we talked about in the episode where we have Breeze coming from behind and pushing those back markers together. But we've had that the whole way up the course with each of the individual groups. So interesting.
Yeah, for sure. And just zooming in, there is that pack of leaders there that you're looking at right now, and look how close they are in formation. It's a phenomenal race, and as Richard pointed out there, the places are changing hands all the time. There's lots of snakes and ladders going out there. Yeah.
I think one of the interesting facts is that if we were looking at their VMG and their speed, and all four of the front leaders in two-handed and IRC overall are basically doing the same speed. Some subtle variations throughout the 24-hour period in terms of distance travelled, but only 2 mile variation between them. So, it just shows you how close it is. Amazing.
Yeah. And, tenacity, particularly in a light airs race like this, to keep going is one hell of a weapon. And we had a little chat with Sam White and Sam North on Muzungu.
What I look for in a two-handed teammate is someone who's got a boat, first and foremost. So I'm really, really fortunate to be racing with Sam. I think we make a really good team. Sam's really, really strong all the way kind of around the boat and from a navigation point of view. And I feel I've got some really good strengths around the tactical side of the racing, making the boat go really quick. Each are strong in both those regards as well, but when we fall into those positions, I think we make a really good team.
Yeah, for me, it's someone that appreciates marginal gains, which Sam does from his background of sort of racing top level in teams. He's brought that marginal gain sort of ethos to us, where we look at everything, where we can make gains. Nothing is too much work. If it's going to make us faster, if it's going to make us better, we'll jump through that hoop, whatever it is. And I think we're both into the sort of psychological aspect of teams and of sports and how to achieve in those sports. So our communication is really good because we've kind of got a sound base of what we're trying to achieve and know how to break it down into sections to be able to get there.
It's a massive adventure, and I'm really, really impressed by the quality of the fleet that we're going to be racing against. I have done it once before, and it was a stunning, stunning coastlines to race around, and yeah, I'm really excited for it, gotta say.
To win in this fleet of double-handed sailors would be incredible because there's some real talent out there, and I think at the moment there's a lot of boats that could take that prize.
Yeah, an airline pilot and an engineer, the two Sams. I think that's absolutely brilliant, Chris.
Yeah, gosh, that's what a combination, hey? Kind of amazing.
Yeah, incredible, and I know they've got a big fan base as well.
Yeah. So they're a little. There's an example too. I mean, the JPK 1080 Louay, mixing it with the Sunfast 3600s. I mean, you know, that's a little bit different. There's a little bit more waterline length there. You know, and keeping up and doing well. I think that boat obviously works really well two-handed and in those lighter breezes. So yeah, good on them. Yeah,
good on them. And also in that leading pack of boats, we have got Gavin Howe's Tigris, and he's racing with Maggie Adamson. And Maggie caught up with us. She's heading back to her home waters in Scotland. And let's see what the fiddle player and lifeboat guru and tool ship. She does quite a lot, Maggie. Let's see what she had to say.
Good morning. The weather's a bit more what we're used to. It's overcast this morning, but we got some wind. We've got about 10 knots of wind at the minute. We're heading upwind. We've just passed the last mark of the course in Ireland, and the next mark's at St Kilda. So I've got my appropriate hat on, and when we were there earlier on in the season, and it was sunny and not that much wind. So I hope it's a bit different this time. All is good on board. I've just really been enjoying the last few days sailing. It's quite a privilege to be out here, so pretty chuffed. We're just hanging in there with the front group of our little pack at the minute, so we're just over a mile away from Ballina over this way and Muzungu, so hanging in there, which is good. Another night of ups and downs. The wind's not quite as steady as you'd like, so code up, code down, lots of course changes, but keeping going, it's all good. Thanks to everybody that's been following on the tracker and sending messages and support. It's all appreciated, and we probably won't have signal for the next little while, so last update before we do, and yeah, catch up with you guys soon.
Well, Maggie Adamson there from onboard Tigris, and yeah, she was all togged up there, Chris, wasn't she?
Yeah, a little different for the weather. I mean, she's obviously aware that she's going to be sailing back into no breeze and probably the sun coming back out again. I mean, this is her territory. I mean, I think Maggie's from the Shetlands, so you know she's obviously looking forward to getting to the north of Scotland and the top. I mean, an interesting Louay. I had a story that at the final supper, the race supper, Maggie very kindly pulled out a violin and started playing to the crowd. So a bit of fiddle work there. It was wonderful.
Yeah. I imagine that must be amazing out in the ocean with somebody playing the fiddle like that, dolphins bouncing around the boat, but you're still got to concentrate on the sails, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, we've got another Scottish lass out there. We've got Shirley Robertson and Dee Kafari. And they're in a Sunfast 3300 Rockit, and probably a little explanation for you, Chris. Not quite weather for a Sunfast 3300.
No. I mean, look, they're down a little bit of waterline length. The design of that boat has them more as a downhill boat, I guess, if you will, or off the breeze boat anyway. So they're always going to struggle. I mean, and you can tell actually all the 3300s are together. Unfortunately for them, it's been one of those races with a lot of uphill where a little bit more waterline length and a shift in design might have benefited from them. But once they turn the corner at the top, Louay, it'll be a different race.
It could well be, yes. Well, we did manage to get a catch up with Dee and Shirley as they went round Black Rock. Here you go.
Hi Louay, it's Dee from Rockit here. Just letting you know we're all good on board. Morale's pretty high. We've been in the closest battle you can think of with the other two 3300s. We haven't lost sight of them the whole race, and we're just about to round Black Rock, so that's a pretty long way to be together still, and that's what's kept our focus. It's been a game of snakes and ladders. Every rung on the ladder's been really hard fought, and the snakes happen so damn quick. All that work is wasted and we have to start again, but that's what's keeping our focus at the moment. Morale on board is good. Food and water are okay. We had an insight into the weather before we left and judged it accordingly. Asked me about that again in the North Sea. Maybe I'll change my mind. And the most amazing thing has to be the standout wildlife we've seen, from dolphins, the wild birds, the young babies with their mums, and the whales that we've seen. And now we're coming inshore, and it is a stunning coastline. This is probably the west coast of Ireland at its best. Not great if you're on a yacht race, but perfect time to visit on a holiday. Cheers, bye.
Hi everyone, I hope you're good. This is Dee Kafari and I on board the mighty Rockit. We've just gone round Black Rock, day 6. It's taken a while, and not really the conditions for the mighty Rockit either. We're raring to go in a good blowy reach, lots of water ballast and J0s. Anyway, we're on good form. It's a new thing for me. I'm enjoying it. The scenery's been amazing. The weather's been incredible. We've seen whales, obviously lots of dolphins, seabirds. So really enjoyed that part of it. Also a great battle between the 3300s. We've been glued together, and so that's made it all pretty intense. We are slightly concerned, well, I'm slightly concerned about the length of the race and the provisioning, but I'm racing with Dee Kafari, so she is all over it. She's in no way worried. The chocolate is not being rationed yet. We've plenty of water, so don't worry about us. And onward to St Kilda, just looking at the routing, it's 200 and something miles to our next waypoint. Upwind, not very much wind. Anyway, we're having a great time. Thanks everyone for the support.
Dee and Shirley there, and they were 200 miles from St Kilda, which is way out in the ocean. But really interesting listening to them. The comments they were making there, Chris. What do you make of that?
Oh, I think everyone's got concerns about provisioning, and
Oh, we've got, just had a slight problem with your audio there, Chris. Could you repeat again? I think we might have lost Chris there with the internet overheating, probably like the rest of us. Just remember, you can follow the Sevenstar Round Britain and Ireland race And the website to go to is roundbritainandireland.rourke.org. And we're on all social media platforms. And the hashtags we're using are SRBIR and also RORC Racing. And we're going to do another live update early next week. We're just going to see how it goes because the North Sea looks like there could be a real increase in breeze, particularly for those leading boats. So we'll let you know when the next update's going to be. It'll be early next week. But you can expect news from the Royal Ocean Racing Club every day on social media and on the website. Thanks for tuning in. And if you've joined this late in the day, you will be able to see a replay of this live. Thanks a lot.
This is not a race for novices. This is the toughest race in the RORC calendar, experienced sailors only. Everyone in the fleet has done their miles. Tough racing to get to this point, but for us that's critical in making a safe race.
It's a fantastic sailors race. It's 3 fast nets. It's absolutely brilliant.
It was one of the most incredible races we can have here. It's long, it's tough, it's long, it's cold. You can have some bad weather. Very tricky.
Amazing. It's going to be magical for me.
Sevenstar Round Britain and Ireland race is for me the ideal offshore race. It's longer than the Fastnet, so you really get into it, yet lots of waypoints, you turn lots of corners, very varied conditions, and it's much more exciting than a transatlantic or something like that.
Really looking forward to doing this race with the team. It's new for me and it's the only time that I will race Medallia with a full crew. I think it's a really challenging race. It's tactical. The weather is difficult, lots of different weather systems. The North Sea is full of tides and gas platforms and traffic and wind farms. There's absolutely everything jam-packed into quite a small course, so why would I not do it?
This could be 2 weeks of racing, and therefore you've got to pace yourself. You typically get tough conditions at some point in this race, a lot of navigational obstacles, and quite often we get a lot of retirements.
The statistics prove it. 25 double-handed entries in the past, only 9 have ever finished. So I like a challenge. Rise to the challenge.
To win in this fleet of double-handed sailors would be incredible because there's some real talent out there, and I think at the moment there's a lot of boats that could take that prize.
The pressure is really going to be on the decision making. The critical thing, where are we going to go when we get off to the south side of the Isle of Wight? Is anybody going to make a break for the French coast, or are they going to stay on the mainland shore and work their way up? Remember, that's not easy. You've got the tidal races, particularly Portland Bill and Start Point, before you get to the Lizard and beyond. So I think yes, they're going to want to be going fast, but they've got to make the right decision if they want to win this race.
It's wishful thinking saying that we aim to win, but I don't like to be lost, so there's really only one way to go, and it's all up to play for.